Hello and welcome to your Advanced Java Programming course, and in this video I'm going to show you a more complex way of using objects in object-oriented programming. As you can see, I've created a project called Object Practice and created a class called Read. What I'm going to do is create a class that contains three methods that we can use to read a text file, process the data, and output it. I've provided you with a text file called roster.txt, and as you know, when it comes to reading a file, you go to your NetBeans projects folder and you place it inside. And as you can see, the roster.txt file has the following data: a first name, a surname, an age, and a gender, all separated with white space. What we are going to do is create one method that will read the text file and place the data into an array. We will create another method that will process the data from that array, from joeblogs27 mail to j.spaceblogs space 27 space m. So only the initial of the first name, full surname, the age, and then only the first letter of the gender. This is the output that we plan to print. Once that method has completed processing all of the data, we are going to create an output method that will output the result. All of the work we're going to do is going to be in the class read that I've created here. So let's begin coding. First thing we have to do is import the packages we need. And as you know, when reading a file, you have two main packages that you need to import. You need to import the utilities package, so import java.util.star, and you need to import the IO package. Import java.io.star. This package contains the code that we need for a file not found exception, because when we use a scanner that scans files, we need to use a try and catch statement in case the file is not there, e.g. the file not found. Next, I'm going to create the private variables that we're going to use throughout the program. First, private string array that's going to contain the values. Now, since we cannot know for sure how many values are in a text file to lengthen the array, we add in a large number to the array. So I know it's less than 100, so I'm going to type in 50. Next, we create our second private variable, which is a count variable that we're going to use to keep track of how many places that the values take in the array. This way we don't have to print several blank spaces when there's left over. So private int count equals 0. This variable will make more sense later on. And next we have a string that will contain the result. Private string result equals, and let's leave it blank. Now let's create the shells for our new methods. First, we create a public main method for the class, so that would be public read. And inside these brackets, I'm going to ask the user for the file name, so it does require a string variable, string file name, so the user can select which text file they want to scan, if there are many. Now that we have done that, we create a try and catch statement. Try, which will contain the code for reading a file, and now the catch, file not found exception E. And then we have an output message saying file not found. It shows an error now, but this error will go away once we add our file scanner. So scanner sc file equals new scanner, new file, and finally file name, close with a semicolon. As you can see, the error has already disappeared. Now we need a while loop that will run through the file, adding values to the array and adding values to the count, so we can keep track of how many values there are in the array. So that will be while scfile.hasNext, and inside the loop arr count, and it's starting at 0 and will increase as we go along, scfile.next line. Close with a semicolon. And now we add count plus plus, so it'll add as the count goes along. And now we've finished using the text file. We've populated our array, so we close with scfile.close and end of a semicolon. Now we create our second method, public void process. Open up our brackets, and there we go. In this method, we're going to process the data to print the result. So we create a for loop that will run through the array. For int r equals 0, because we want to start at the first place in the array, which is 0 if you know your number place system. I is less than count I plus plus. What we need to do now is create a scanner that will scan a line, because at the moment in that array place there is one line of text instead of a single token each. So we need to separate those lines into tokens and then organize them and process them accordingly. So scanner scline equals new scanner, and inside the brackets we have arr I. So our first value is going to be selected, which is, if we go to our text file and have a look, Joe blogs 27 mail. So we need to process that data into J blogs 27m. So now we need to add those results to the result variable. Result equals result plus, because we also want the past values stored into result, so we add this line here. scline.next to get the next string, and then .char at to get its initial 0 plus full stop space plus scline.next, which will get the surname, but we're not affecting that data in any way, so we move on to the next one, plus a space plus scline.next int, and we're still not affecting that, so we move on, plus space, and now we need the first letter of the gender, so again it is scline.next brackets .char at, and inside 0, and of course we need to add a new line afterwards, so that's \n. Close with a semicolon. What we're going to do now is close our scanner, because we have now finished using it. scline.close brackets semicolon. And that is our second method, the process method. Now all we have to do is create an even smaller method, the output method, that will print result. So public string, because it is returning a string, print result, and return result. That's all we need. We've now completed our class containing the methods that we are going to use in our main program. Now if we go back to our main program, we can start by using our methods. First, let's ask the user for the text file name. String name equals JOption pane.show input dialog, and inside enter in the text file's name. Close with a semicolon. Of course we need to import our swing package, so I'm just going to use the shortcut for now. Next we call our class read by creating a read object. So read, and let's just call it test for now, equals new read, and as you know it needs a variable string, and that'll be name. Close with a semicolon. Since this section over here is the main part of the class, it will run without us having to call it. So by simply creating a read object, it has already gone through this try and catch statement. So we need to move on to the second method, the process method. So we type in test dot process, close of a semicolon brackets, and now we just need to output the result. System out println test dot print result. And that's our entire program. Let's run it to see if it works. So it's now asking us for the text file's name, which as we know is roster.txt. We click OK, and as you can see, it's processed our data. It has the initial of the first name, it has the second name, the age, and the first letter of the gender. So our program and its methods are working correctly. And this is object-oriented programming. You can create several classes that can work alongside each other, but for now, I think one has just done what we needed and we can leave it here. In the next video, we will discuss the final project in this course.